Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at another really weird deck that's been doing well over in Japan. I know, they've done a bunch of them right. The Japanese metagame at the moment, they're just coming up with so many cool, weird ideas that are just doing brilliantly, and it's making me absolutely delighted. And what makes me really happy is that this is a deck built around Alolan Persian. Now, I have been putting 1/1 Alolan Persian lines into a whole bunch of my decks lately, and I am delighted that somebody's making it work. Now, this actually all stems from Alolan Meowth. I think Alolan Meowth is just crazy good. It's the one from Lost Thunder, and what it does for a single colorless energy, if you went second, on your first turn of the game, you do 70 for a 0 energy. And of course, what you can do if you start with a different Pokemon, you use your energy attachment for the turn to retreat them. And then you can attack for nothing. And there's a whole bunch of Pokemon that are seeing a lot of play at the moment that have 70 HP or less. Poipole, Zorua. Routes annoyingly will not count, nor will Snubbull because they're fairy Pokemon. And yeah, they have a resistance, so you'll only actually be doing 50 and you won't get the KO, which kind of sucks. But Slugma or Inkay, there's a whole bunch of them. There are a lot of Pokemon around at the moment you will get a one-hit KO on. So what you do is you get an early cheeky KO using Meowth. But then the problem is that Meowth does 10 damage for the rest of the game and it's a bit rubbish. Also, side note, right, it's going to happen very rarely. But if you catch like a Duskmane Necrozma, you can get a one-hit KO. Sorry, Dawn Wings Necrozma. You can get a one-hit KO for 0 energy. You will need a choice band, but then you get a one-hit KO. It's so much fun. Problem is, it becomes garbage after you've used it, so in comes Alolan Persian. 90 damage for 0 energy. Minus 30 for each energy on the defending Pokemon. Well, that's a little bit of a problem. That is a little bit of a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Because if you're against something like a Zoroark, they attach a double colorless energy, and you're like, oh, now I'm doing 30 damage. Okay, better than Meowth, but still not good. Not good at all. So there's two things we do. First of all, we pick on Pokemon that are not going to have energy. Malamar, it's not going to have energy, 90 HP. Mercargo, not going to have energy, 90 HP. Something like a Zorua on the bench, or a Ralts, which, you know, it ain't going to have any energy. Ha! And the resistance will do nothing. Well, it brings the damage down from 90 to 70, but you'll still get KO'd, so nothing! And then you can be taking out these Pokemon. And that's actually really nice here. It means your opponent cannot bench a Dawn Wings Necrozma without immediately attaching an energy, or you Guzma it for 2 prizes for 0 energy. And together, these are good. These are nice, ladies and gentlemen. They are good Pokemon. I'm not convinced they're enough. They're rarely hitting for weakness. I mean, something like a Bayonet, for instance, you'll be hitting for weakness, but you're not hitting for weakness very often here. Sometimes it will work, but it's often not going to work. So you can still do 90 damage for 0 energy on a 1-prize Pokemon, but your opponent is probably going to be able to overwhelm and take them out. We need something else. We need something to pick up the slack. And we have Lycanroc. Now, Lycanroc GX, the one we've all been playing, the Midnight form, is a good attacker. And because you're not putting energy on Alolan Meowth or Alolan Persian, it means that you can actually take a little bit more time in terms of building something like this up. The GX attack is great, 50 damage for each of their bench Pokemon, and fighting double colorless, 110. It's still not amazing, but it's doing with a Diancie Prism Star, because obviously you're playing Diancie Prism Star. That's enough to KO a Granbull, and it's enough to KO a Buzzwole, and it's enough to KO a White Kyurem, although they may KO you back, which could be an issue, but hey-ho. And you're getting some KOs there, and you got a good GX attack, and you've got a Gusting effect as an ability, and the Gusting effect as an ability is great, because it means you can pull those Pokemon active that you otherwise wouldn't be able to KO. It means if you're two-hit KOing of a Alolan Persian, it's easier to drag them up into the active and get that second hit. But we also have the Lycanroc GX Dusk form. Now, this hasn't been released in the UK yet. It should be in Tag Team. Team Up. I keep calling it Tag Team. It's definitely Team Up. And this has an amazing ability, which is literally Team Flare Grunt. When you evolve it up, discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. And you see, here's where the combo comes in beautifully. Because now, you're making sure they have no energy attached, which means that Persian is going to be doing more damage. So you're playing Energy Denial, and this does two things, the Energy Denial. First of all, it means that Persian does hit for the 90, which is good. But second of all, it means that your opponent is not going to have enough energy to attack you, which means you can essentially play Keep Away. Now you might still be two-hit KOing with Alolan Meowth, but two-hit KOing with Alolan Meowth is better because they haven't got the energy to KO you in between. So two-hit KOing is absolutely fine by you. And that's where this becomes beautiful. Now, the attack here is not particularly good. Fighting double colorless 120. Admittedly, it is actually 10 more than Lycanroc's Claw Slash, so, you know, better. And the GX attack, 1 fighting energy, 30 damage, times the number of energy cards in your opponent's discard pile. Which, well, I mean, it depends. I mean, 5 energy in their discard, you do 150, but 3 Pokemon on their bench and you do 150 with the other Lycanroc. This is going to depend on what your opponent's doing. But arguably, this is a better attacker. And you've got the really nice ability here as well. And then the other attacking Pokemon we see, and Code64X on Twitter, obviously, he hasn't given me a full deck list, but he has hooked me up with what he can. It's the Boswell from Forbidden Light, which is just a decent attacker. And here we really are going single prize, non-GX, chip away, while energy denial. Both the Lycanroc here are really played for their ability more so than their attacks. And you just sit there, energy denying, gusting around, two-hit KOing, while disruption. And I've said many times on these videos, one-hit KOing should always be the aim. But if you can't one-hit KO, two-hit KO with disruption should be okay. And then obviously, I don't need to tell you we're playing Ditto Prism Star here. We're playing a bunch of stage 1s, you're playing Ditto Prism Star. Ditto ends up in a lot of decks at the moment because it's that gosh darn good. And I should also mention Tapu Lele, because Tapu Lele searches your supporters and gets yourself set up. Now, we don't have a full deck list, but I can tell you a few of the other cards that were played in this list to help you out a little bit if you want to play it. Our stadium of choice here is Brooklet Hill because it helps us search out all of our Rockruff, which is pretty gosh darned important. We see Enhanced Hammer, which gets rid of energy, which is pretty important. We see Ace Roller because it allows you to reuse those abilities on your Lycanroc by picking them up, which is important. Our draw supporters of choice are Cynthia and Lily because they're the best draw supporters. We see a Professor Kukui. It allows you to do an extra 20 damage. Remember, you're not always doing that much damage here. This could be the difference between a KO and not a KO. We see a Skateboard, really good for getting your Pokemon out of the active. Alolan Persian's got a retreat cost of 1, so does Alolan Meowth. And they're sometimes good attackers, sometimes not. You need to be able to get them out of the active. This does it nicely. Obviously, we see Choice Band here to do a bit of extra damage. That's pretty important. We see Escape Rope just because you need to switch sometimes, and also it forces your opponent to switch. They might have a bunch of bench Pokemon you can KO and an active you don't because you're only doing 90 with Alolan Persian. Hey, Escape Rope will do nicely. We see Energy Lotto because you're playing double colorless energy, and this is the best way we've got for trying to get that double colorless energy. We see Rescue Stretcher to recover your Pokemon. And we see a mixture of Ultra Ball, searches out any of your Pokemon. Nest Ball, searches out your basic Pokemon. And Timer Ball searches out your evolution Pokemon. I don't know if this deck is good enough to crush in the format. I get the feeling it is just a little bit too weak, that it doesn't quite do enough damage. But the one thing I want to remind you of here, this got top 16 in a tournament with 1,226 players. It got top 16 in a format with 1,226 players. That is crazy. So maybe all of my skepticism is for naught. And actually, while we're here, it turns out Limitless TCG do have a deck list. So I will let you know they also played a Larvitar. That's one of the ones from Lost Thunder, which does 80 damage for a double colorless energy if they've got 3 or more damage counters on. That sounds like a pretty good attack. And they also played Field Blower, which, to be honest, we should have been expecting because most decks play Field Blower to get rid of stadiums and tools. So we were pretty spot on, but we forgot about Larvitar, we forgot about Field Blower, and we didn't have the exact deck list. But as you can see on the screen at the moment, we do now have the exact deck list, and that's pretty gosh darn nice. I like this deck. It fits with my love of this Alolan Meowth and Persian combo. I'm still nervous. But if you can get top 16 in a tournament with over 1,200 players, it's probably a viable deck. So at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about this deck. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's viable? Or do you think in the long run it's just not going to be quite good enough? Let me know in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Go nuts, but do please remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out my other channel, youtube.com/WassyPlays, for some more Wassy action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.